Hello and welcome to this video on creating a semi-cascade bonsai. A semi-cascade is distinct from cascade bonsai by not going below the bottom of the pot. It is meant to be a representation of trees going along the ground or downhill as a consequence of harsh environmental conditions. Fortunately, you can use some of the easiest trees for a beginner to style this way, particularly the juniper family. You can train it with either one or two major lines, but this video will focus on a single line, that being a single trunk. Begin by selecting stock that either grows prostrate or does not resist growing from a point lower than the trunk and old growth. Some species do not like to be trained this way, and styling as a semi-cascade will kill the tree at worst and kill branches at best. Once you have chosen your tree, cut off all extraneous branches. You want only the following ones to remain: a main branch that will form the equivalent of a trunk for this style, a rear or slightly side-on branch for balance, a top branch for a quasi-apex, and your branches along the trunk to form leaf pads. Depending on how developed the tree is, this will form a snaking line from the apex to somewhere between the pot top and bottom. Place your tree in the corner of a square pot or the center of a round pot. These pots will generally be taller than they are wide. Other than this quirk, treat them as you would any other bonsai pot. This trunk will begin in the center of the pot, and then begin moving out to a point just beyond the outer edge of the pot. This will create your first turn and branch junction. After this, you turn the trunk back towards the tree base, but away from the pot. This is a slightly inward turn, designed to let you create another leaf pad just below the first, but on the other side of the trunk. It should now have the trunk reaching slightly forward, down, and away from the pot and tree base. The juniper here did not execute that very well, but the fuchsia has done better in the first turn. The difficulty is in getting uncooperative branches to bend where you need them to and how you need them to. You repeat this process of turning the trunk slightly further down and away from its current direction for several more turns. In some cases, if you're looking for a very long cascade, you may simply wish to move it left to right or forwards and backwards with a very subtle decline in its height. This will allow you to create a very long and substantial cascading trunk. The number of turns needed and the degree of bending will be a judgment call based on the design you wish to achieve. Think of this style as a tree growing from the top of a hill, down, and if you want, around. Each of the foliage pads should be made so as to encourage an initially flat growth. As the trees age, you will want to encourage a dense growth of branches to support a lot of foliage. The effect will be one that is reminiscent of clouds. When creating a semi-cascade, remember these 4 things. 1. Always have branches on the outside of your elbows. Using the mountain metaphor, the branches and leaves would not grow into the rock face of a mountain, but instead out, away, and towards light. 2. Always finish the trunk pointing back towards the pot. This keeps your audience's attention on the tree and the center line. 3. Keep the end of your branches growing down, but the point should always be flicked upwards. That is, the tip only should point up just a little to encourage growth towards light. This will also add a little more movement to the trunk over time. 4. As your cascading trunk gets longer, the growth furthest from the roots will get weaker. This is one downside to creating a substantial cascade or semi-cascade. The semi-cascade style is nice, as the rules are less restrictive, and the effect of appearance supersedes styling, which means if it is working, you should do it. Part 2 will demonstrate the development of this tree as the leaf pads and foliage grow and the current trunk hardens off, preventing future movement that is easy to achieve. Thank you for watching this video. If you have found it useful, consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. Please post any comments, questions, or suggestions below.